Okay, good morning, good afternoon. It is December 16th. Holy smokes. How many of you can say that you have finished your Christmas shopping? Not me. Okay, now let's go over the project for today. It's so pretty. I think you guys are going to really like it. Okay, so we are using Heartwarming Hugs Designer Series paper, and this measures 10 by 10. And then we're using another piece that measures 5 by 5. We're using some Whisper White for stamping, some Real Red, and then one piece of cardboard or chipboard or whatever you want. And this is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Okay, so we're going to start with the stamping with this Whisper White here. The stamp set that we're using today is Poinsettia Petals, and I'm just using the greeting. I love large greetings. How much is the paper share? I don't have the math in front of me. Tina, there's 2 paper shares. One is the 6 by 6, and then the other one is 6 by 12. One of them's like 30 something, and the other one's like 60. The $60 one will include a celebration item. The $30 one will not. I'm going to get all that on my website too. I know I posted the link to register on my Facebook group, but I've not yet got it to my blog. Okay, Real Red ink, and this is a photopolymer stamp set, and it's a greeting, so I prefer to use my Stampin' Mat anytime that I have a photopolymer and a greeting, okay? The grid paper is in the supply list if you're a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Okay. And we're done with that. So we'll give that time to dry. And then now we're going to move it aside and get our paper. I'm going to use the Simply Scored scoring tool. And I'm going to score it at 3.5 inches on all 4 sides. So 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, and 3.5. Okay, so now on 2 sides parallel to each other. So we're going to say over here and down here, that's parallel, okay? We're going to score at 2.5 only to this first score line, okay? So 2.5 and then 7.5 only to that first score line, okay? We're going to flip it because it's parallel and do the same thing. So 2.5 and 7.5, stopping at that first score line. You can't really see those score lines because the pattern is so busy, but also beautiful. So I say it's busy, but I'm not complaining. We're going to take our bone folder and we're going to fold and burnish on the score lines. I'm wondering if I need to raise my camera. Can you guys see okay? If I need to raise my camera a little bit more, let me know. Back it up a little. Okay. Hopefully I made it better and not worse. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I have to make sure I remember correctly. So here's our score lines that we just made, okay? So I'm going to keep it in this orientation so that you can get a good look at it. Well, let me lay it down. So here's that 2.5 and 7.5. What we're going to do is cut across here, 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 and here, okay? So now I'm turning it so that those score lines are on the left and the right. I started in that other direction because that's how we scored it. which means then you would have to turn it after you scored it. There will be a box template diagram on my website. It won't happen today. We have some people coming to work on our 30-day list again on our house. So yeah, there'll be strangers in our house this afternoon. Okay, now this is how it looks. What we're going to do now is fold on those score lines that we made at the 2.5 and the 7.5. Okay, now that's how it looks. So you can see it's going to look like this when we're done. So I'm going to snip off this piece here. And we'll save that for another project. Okay? And then I'm going to angle cut this. And then do the same thing over here. Okay, now same. So this is how that side looks, and now we're going to repeat that on this side over here. Y'all don't want to know how many pieces of paper I ruined trying to come up with a box. I was trying to use 8.5 by 11 instead of 12 by 12, but it just wasn't working. Because the jelly jar almost measures 3 inches. Same as, there's also candles that measure about that same size. So if you don't want to use a jelly jar for this, you can put a candle in it. Okay, this is how it looks right now. Wait, let me set it so that you can really see it. Move my hands. Now, we have to do the lid. So we're going to set this aside and take our 5 by 5 piece and we are going to score it. Now this is a wonky measurement, so sorry. If you've made boxes with lids, sometimes you know that you have to push in the sides to make the lid fit. So this measurement works for me. You might have to tweak it a tad. So I'm going to score it in between the 15/16 and the 1 on all 4 sides. You could score it at 1. It's going to be a tight fit. You could score it at 15/16. It's going to be a little loose. If you score it in between those two, it's almost exactly perfect. And I say that, but it also depends on which paper cutter you use. If you have a paper cutter that cuts off a little bit, we all have one of those, right? Okay, so I'm scoring on all 4 sides in between the 15/16 and the 1. I've done this before. There is a reason to it. Okay. Now, fold on the score lines. Burnish with your bone folder. So I have to tell y'all, I have only purchased 3 Christmas presents to date. And today is the 16th. Pretty scary, right? Like y'all needed to hear that. Y'all, it will probably stress some of y'all out. Okay, so I'm going to cut up to the score line. Up to the score line. And then I'm going to trim to the left and to the right of each of these. Okay, same thing on this side. So the opposite side, do the same thing. And now I'm going to snip off a little bit of it. You don't have to do this step, but I am. Okay, now. So here's our lid. Here's our box. Now we're going to set these aside for a couple minutes, and we're going to go ahead and cut out our image that we stamped earlier. So I'm going to take my teeny tiny, I like calling it the teeny tiny instead of the mini. But you know, it won't emboss, only with the littles. And you have to make sure that your paper is small enough to fit through there. So for example, this one is too big, so I have to cut it down. So I've had people ask, do you love it? Yes, I absolutely love it. But it don't do everything. So if you're the type of person that wants it all, did I forget to put the die on there? I did. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my marbles. I'll have to tell y'all why though. When I went to log on to go live, I just found out that my Aunt Cecilia has just been put in ICU. And on a vent, she has COVID. So I've held it together pretty nicely considering that I just a few minutes ago discovered that. I'm going to cut this really quick. And you know what? I'm just going to use my scissors. Yeah, so we would appreciate some prayers. Definitely. Okay, I'm really doing a terrible job of this. I wasn't going to say anything, but then I'm like, you know, I'm one of those that really believes in the power of prayer. And so, yes. Okay. Here we go. I love this greeting. Oh no, I chopped part of it off. Grr. You know what? I just can't. The other day I messed up my live video and it kind of haunted me. So I'm just going to stamp that over real quick. If y'all were in a hurry, so sorry. I don't want to make a dead project today. So we'll move it over for just a second. Where'd I put my ink pad? So while this is drying, we'll go ahead and work on a different layer. So yeah, remember when you're doing this to stamp it high enough that you have room to cut it out in a circle. And while that's drying, I'm going to take our chalk marker. I have not used this in forever. Remember back in the day, I used to use it a lot. I'm going to make little dots on each scallop. And I'm going to have to get my head kind of sort of in the camera to be able to see it. Yeah, so let's see. One dot in each scallop. She's a Kennedy, so we say that Kennedys were fighters. So hopefully she's going to pull through. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to cut this greeting out since my other one did not work properly. I think that when this is all said and done, I think just about every single person is going to end up knowing somebody that this terrible disease took. And I know that a lot of you guys come to me so that you can feel good and not feel sad. So sorry if I ruin someone's day. We're going to take our liquid glue and add this. And then now we're going to add these wonderful gems. So I'm going to add 3 of these. And the challenging part, of course, as always, is getting these lined up in a row perfectly. They don't have to be perfect unless you want them to be. Looks pretty good to me. Okay. Now, to assemble the box. I saved it for last because I will admit to you that it is slightly challenging. I'm going to use liquid glue, and that is the easiest way to make this box for me. So what we're going to do is put our adhesive, of course, on these side panels, and we're going to bring it up just like that, okay? Because we're using liquid glue, we can shift this if we attached it, crooked. So if you use liquid glue, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do 2 sides at the same time and then hold them so that we can give it time to dry, okay? So here goes the first one. So I'm just going to hold that for a second. And then now do this side. Now I'm going to hold both of these for 1 second and let them dry. Okay. Now this one. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know. Now, I'm not doing the second one this time. I'm going to wait because it starts to get a little more challenging. So, see, there we go. There's that one. Okay, so this is a little hard, but liquid glue is pretty easy to use like this. So I'm just reaching in and adding. I didn't do it before I assembled that other side because honestly I would have got it all over me. That is the truth. Now I'm going to slide this to the edge so that it lines up and then give it a squeeze and hold it. Okay? So here's our box. Vicki, I don't know if you're on here. Your jelly jar will fit in there perfectly like that. I have a piece of cardstock or cardboard, chipboard, whatever, 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Put that in the bottom just to make it a little bit sturdier. I will say you should make this out of, what you could do is take this piece and attach it to a piece of solid cardstock, and that would make it sturdier. Anyway, so let me show you what else will fit in there. I do have a little basket. Oh, here it is. If it had been a snake, it would have bit me. So I'm going to show you some things that will fit. A pack of gum will fit. A hand sanitizer. Some little of my favorite clips. It will hold a lot, but again, you have to remember that the sides are somewhat wobbly. It'll hold some snack mix, put it inside there. It'll hold washi tape, liquid glue, a little frog tape measure. If you have sew-in friends, it'll hold a little makeup sponge. Even will hold a bolt of ribbon. So our ribbon will fit in there just like that, okay? So I've given y'all lots of ideas on what it will hold. And now we'll finish with the lid. Okay. I'm not going to keep that in there because I'm going to use it for something else. So this outside is the stripe. So I'm going to make the lid this pattern. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my liquid glue because it works fantastic. hold it for a second. I should actually put it on its side so people can see it. I don't know what number, this box template number this is going to be. I kind of lost track of my numbers, but it will have a box template. Okay, yeah, I heard David told me that people in New York are expecting like a foot of snow or something. Y'all just keep it up there, would you? I don't want it. No part of it. It's pretty to look at, but that's about it. Okay, we'll give that one more second to dry. Okay, so the lid goes on just like that. Now look, see? Remember when I told y'all the measurements? The score measurements of this lid is in between the 1 inch and the 15/16. And if you do it at 1 inch, you're going to have to squeeze the sides in of your box. If you do it at 15/16, the lid's going to fall off really easily. So if you use my measurements, it should work perfectly for you. Now ask me how many pieces of cardstock that took me to figure out. More than I'd care to admit. Okay, so I'm going to take the polka dot ribbon and the sheer real red, and I'm going to wrap it around. I was on the phone last night with a demonstrator friend, and I was telling her that I was trying to create this box, and I had gone through several pieces of paper. And she was trying to help me, and I wasn't getting it. I was like, I don't understand. I'm not like, I'm a visual person. Like I have to see it. I have to do it. And so when I got off the phone with her, I'm like, okay, I'm scrapping that idea. That's not working. I'm going back to the drawing board. And I got on my website and started looking for previous boxes that were like bigger than 3 inches. And I actually found this. So I have made it before a long time ago. I don't know if any of y'all would have remembered it, but I think I gave different measurements for the lid. I did, yeah. I know you can't see it. Oh, I twisted my ribbon. Oh, well. Okay, now all we have to do is add our greeting right up there. So I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue, making sure it's at the top. You could use a dimensional, you can use a glue dot, whatever's your favorite. Okay, so there it is. And here's the one I made this morning because it's hard for you to see how it really looks in the camera. So a Hostess cake will fit in there. We'll go ahead and we'll slide the ribbon off of this one. So you don't have to untie the ribbon. You can technically just slide it off. So the little Hostess cake will fit in there. Yep, perfectly, see? Just push that wrapper down in there. So it'll hold a Hostess cake as well. So the finished size, thank you for asking me that because I do always forget. That's the one area that I can never remember, and I don't know why, because I do get that question asked a lot. So the finished size is with the, oh, this is different paper. So it's 3.5 inches tall and 3 inches wide. Yeah. 3.5, what did I say? 3.5 by 3. Yeah, 3.5. Okay, thank y'all so much. So, one of you guys, several of you actually, had asked about the joining bonus in January during celebration. So during celebration, if you become a demonstrator, I'd love for you to join my team. You get 5 packs of Designer Series paper. So you get the neutrals, the subtles, the brights, the regals, and the in color. And I'm going to open it up and let you see the patterns of it. So this is the first pattern that we see. Okay, so there's that one. And I chose, you know what, let me choose a different pack. Not that I don't like that pack, but you guys know the subtles are my most favorite. So let me show you this one. Debbie, as a demonstrator, we can buy this grid paper. I just ordered it last week. I saw it on the supply list and I was like, oh, there's holiday grid paper. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, lane swerve there, right? Saw a squirrel. So here's the Highland Heather. So this is the A and then the B. A and B. So that's the pattern. I won't show you all of these, but it's a nice pack of paper. And you get 5 of them. So that's, yeah, 5 packs. Okay, if y'all have any questions, let me know.